Hey, this is the Operating System Show, and this is for founders who are done being the bottleneck in their business. And every week I sit down with someone who's built a company that runs without them or has helped others build companies that run without them. And I'm Matt Dixon, and today my host is Peter Boolkah. Did I say that right?
Absolutely perfect.
Okay, love it. I meant to ask you before the recording. And he goes by a name of the Transition Guy. And recently he's written a book called Your Business Sucks. And that's a little intriguing to me. And he has been with McDonald's for 15 years. He started his career there. And he knows a lot about operations and how to streamline things and how to help businesses and business owners get out of their own way. Did I sum that pretty good?
Do you know what? I don't think I could have said it better myself.
Love it. Yeah, so why don't you tell me a little bit about your time at McDonald's? And we were talking that a little bit before the recording.
Yeah, it was one of those jobs that, when you get to 16, especially in the UK, you need to get yourself like a kind of part-time job. And I literally, back then it was a high street. I went down every single place giving my CVs, got rejected by everybody.
Mm.
Literally just went in there for a hamburger. And I saw above the fire station, we are hiring. So I I just said, I filled one in. What's another application form? And I got the job. And it wasn't the most glamorous job in the world. I mean, if you look at the uniform was appalling. I felt like I was in the Navy. But I tell you what it did teach me. McDonald's were very intelligent with how they systemized and processed the business. And back then, they used the process called Taylorism, where they took every single core component of a process and simplified it to a point where if you were on the till serving a customer, you had it literally word for word what you needed to do and when you needed to do it, which means we could take nearly anybody and get them to do the job. And it built its business on kids. Can you believe that? The success of McDonald's was college kids, high school kids. I mean, you took these kids, you would never trust them with a car. But I remember having 20-year-olds I would trust with my restaurant. We're 20-year-olds that would be restaurant managers that would run a £3 million operation because they could follow the system and the process. But I dreaded giving them a company car because I knew they'd trash it. So as soon as they left the store, left the restaurant, got into their car, the stupid person turned up. Your typical 20-year-old that has absolutely no impulse control and thinks that it's fast and furious every single evening. It was, for me, it was a very interesting time.
Yeah, that is interesting. So what I hear from that is you take someone out of the system and put them into chaos, and things are completely different. Their behavior is different because it's chaotic. There's no system in place. Is that
Yeah. And obviously, when you're like 20 years old, the immaturity, the hormones, they still play a part. Whereas when you are in the McDonald's restaurant, number one, you've got responsibility for others, but there's clear consequences if you don't perform. So there's that structure that keeps everybody in line. Probably very close to the military, to be fair. I mean, when you think about it, the military gives you structure, gives you discipline, gives you process. That was exactly what we had in McDonald's.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yep, military does give you a lot of structure. My dad was in the Army, and he talked about that a lot. Excellent. Yeah. Well, so one thing in your book, I noticed that you say that if your business can't function without you, you don't own a business. Your business owns you.
Yep.
You've watched the same pattern, and you say 50,000 hours across 5 continents.
Yep.
So what's the discipline problem with the owner, or is it discipline, or is it that they built the wrong company from day one?
No. Do you know what they've done from day one? They've trained the company to not be able to survive without them. And I'll give you some statistics. In the UK, we've got around 5.4 privately owned small to medium-sized businesses. So we're going up to maybe from a solopreneur, which of that 5.4, 4.2 million of them are solopreneurs. They don't hire anyone. To the rest that do hire, and you're talking about a range from maybe 20,000 a year revenue right through to 20, 30 million. And the challenge is when you start a business, and you know this yourself being in business, you don't start a business and you have 2 or 3 people working for you. You start and you're the only person in the business. So you're the chief decision maker. So all the execution you need to do, all the marketing you need to do, all the selling you need to do. You don't realize it, but you're creating dependency from day one. So you're forming that habit of the business being dependent on you. And so forth, the journey continues. And unless you come from a corporate background, most people that go into business, they've never learned about sales, marketing, hiring, people development. They don't have those skills. So it's all about them. They started the business and to be successful in that business was all about how great they are. And that's the trap and the prison that people don't realize they fall into from day one.
Yeah, that's an interesting observation. So the business owner, by necessity, had to be good at all those things. And then I think that's where the no one can do it as well as me mindset comes into play. And I think too, go ahead.
No, Matt, all I was going to say, because it may be 3, 5, 7 years before they bring on that first employee.
Yeah.
How much condition and habit forming happens during that time?
A lot. Yeah, and they start out with one person because they don't have the budget to hire someone. And as soon as they do have the budget, then they have difficulty giving up control.
It's interesting you say that. And I do think that they sabotage themselves here just a little bit. Because when they hire employee number one, it's not all of them, but for the majority of them, they need to get someone in quite quickly because they are stretched. They don't have enough time. So no one's ever taught them to hire a great person. They're not thinking about company culture. They're not thinking about a player. They're thinking about arms and legs. So they bring somebody on board. Good, now I've got a person. But they've never, ever been taught how to systemize their business, process their business. And I'm sure you see this all the time when you go into companies. There is no system, there is no process. So what kind of training is that poor person going to be given? It's going to be half-heartedly. You're going to have so many things missing from that training. And it's going to be, okay, get on with it. And they're going to do their best. But what if their best isn't good enough? The business owner then gets frustrated. What's the first thing they do? They jump in to fix it. Now they've got 2 problems. They've got an employee that they've hired, that they're paying for. They're now doing their job, and they're doing the employee's job as well, where they're going fixing things and reinforcing that belief that no one's as good at doing this than me. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes, it does. Yeah. One thing I've learned over the years is I want to have influence on my team. I don't want to have control. I purposely don't take the control back if they try to give it to me. And you said that when an employee doesn't do very well, the owner will get upset and just go and save them. I've heard that the best way to approach that is to say, well, I didn't train them, so it's my problem. It's my fault. And how do I do that better? What's your view of that for the people that do that right?
Yeah, but you're coming from a place of wisdom.
Yeah, I've been around the block a few times.
You see, but that's the thing. The way you've articulated that, it's absolutely common sense, isn't it? But common sense is not that common. So what the person under pressure will do will blame everybody else. Yeah, get really frustrated with everybody else. And it's their fault. They'll never look at themselves and say, what I see in front of me is a reflection of me. What must I change? Because that's the first thing around leadership. Whatever you've got going on for you in your life, in your business, always is a reflection of what you're putting out there. If you do not like the reflection, then you've got to change what you see.
Yeah, that's a good way to put that. And I see that you're a scaling up consultant or implementer.
Yeah,
There we go.
scaling up coach.
Yes, coach. Now, I'm very familiar with EOS. Tell me why you picked scaling up instead of EOS.
Well, you did. Do you know that actually Gino used to work for Vern?
I did not know that.
Yeah, he did. So a lot of the stuff that you actually do see in EOS actually comes from scaling up. And I got to, I got to meet Vern, maybe 16, 17 years ago. And I quite liked his framework at the time for mid-market businesses. Absolutely loved it. So I got involved. And I've actually just left him this month, actually, after 16 years of being with them. And it was just a really good framework for CEOs and their leadership team to bring a common language to the entire business. And if you look at companies that have scaled, let's say someone like McDonald's, as we've spoken about them, with McDonald's and their scaling, what you found was that they've got common language. Within McDonald's, they've got their own acronyms, they've got their own language, which binds the company together. So they've got their systems and processes. Most mid-market businesses don't have that. And scaling up is that bridge that allows everybody to be on that one page. And I just love the fact that it aligns the organization in one direction.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't realize that those two were so related. So are you using your own framework then, or are you still using scaling? What are you doing?
I use a mixture of many frameworks.
Okay.
I don't think one framework out there is perfect. I really do not. But I think there's a multitude of frameworks that we can look at that if we implement, it moves the company forward. So I would say it's 80% scaling up and then a mishmash of a few other tools out there. And I've got some of my own tools, obviously, that I've developed from 20 years. And a few of those tools I use also.
Excellent. So you said that you've taken companies all the way to sale or an IPO.
Yep.
When a buyer runs their due diligence, what's the specific thing that makes the business transferable instead of locked in the founder's head?
It depends on who the buyer is. Depends on who the buyer is. As soon as you go into PE companies, VC companies, you've probably got to make sure that the business no longer relies on the founder. I'd even go as far as to make sure that their leadership team, although important, are not integral. Because these organizations, they have their own teams anyway. And you've got to make sure that the business is systemized, processed, and can generate predictable both revenue and profitability. And if you've got a business where the founder is still integral into it, the big danger you sort of, and I've seen this so many times, is the founder has got a price in their head, very much where they have sweat equity also included in that. This is how hard I've worked. This is the number that I want for it. And the PE company or whoever comes in, they see the word discount. Because they don't want to buy somebody else's job.
So tell me a little bit more about that. What do you mean they see a discount?
Well, as soon as they know that they buy the company and they've got to keep the CEO on, well, then now they're going to have to pay that person. and that person is going to be fighting them because nobody ever wants to see their baby dismantled.
Mm.
So that's the discount.
Yeah, so they're going to discount the sale price because they have to bring the CEO along.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's so. Have you ever come in? Sorry, I'm getting all tangled up. Have you ever had the instance where a CEO was part of the deal and the PE firm bought it and they systematized it after that? Did it go well?
That can happen, but the business has been bought at the discount.
Okay, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, they've already knocked down the price.
They know it's going to be a little bit more work.
Yeah, and they're not stupid. They're not stupid.
No.
Founder dependency carries risk. And they've also got the risk that even though a CEO may be under contract, normally what they'll do, they'll split the deal into two. So you'll have an upfront payment, and that generally tends to be no more than 40%, depending on how the business is structured. I mean, if you've got a really well-structured business, you can get 100% and they exit the CEO and they go and live in the sort of forever happy island for the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm.
But in most of the cases, what will happen, you'll get maybe up to 40% of the asking, and then the rest will be tied in over a 3-year or a 5-year set of metrics that you have to deliver upon. And I've seen people, they don't last the 3 to 5 years because they get so frustrated, they're not hitting the numbers because they're no longer in control of the business. And you know what? It isn't their numbers. It's no longer their numbers. And they'll walk away from it. And then there's a risk to the company that's bought it. Yep, the company has saved 60% of the value, but they're now carrying on the risk because it was self-founder dependent.
Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting situation. So you focus more on the people and processes. I focus on the tech and the processes. We talked a little bit before the show. I build operating systems that are literally computer programs and AI that help do the mundane things so that people can do the work that they're best at, the superpower. And tell me about your approach. How do you get people in their superpower?
Well, my work predominantly is around the exec team, making sure that the exec team are clear on their execution plan, that we're getting things in place. And then what we'll do, especially if we're running up to a sale, we bring in experts like yourself, Matt, to do your stuff because it's never going to be the exec superpower. And we bring in teams of people to help get the business ready for sale. Because quite often when we're getting a business ready for sale, we're getting it ready 5 years out. Because you can imagine you're going in and you're doing the tech stuff. That's not an overnight fix. It won't be uncommon for you to have to be in there, whatever the contract looks like. You're probably working in there for a good 2 to 3 years before it becomes habit throughout the organization and you've got it where you need it to be. So when you're looking at it across, and that's just one area, you now look at it across the other core components, you do require that 5 years to polish it up so it's packaged beautifully for the buyer.
Yeah, that's a good plan. And then we talked a little bit about complexity. I like what you said. Would you mind repeating that? I was talking about how complexity fails, right, and simplicity scales.
Yeah. And from what I have seen and experienced, everybody always overcomplicates it first before they learn how to simplify it. Because that complexity, that overcomplicating everything, is probably their learning process. And everybody thinks it has to be complex, that nothing can be simple. And it is simple once you can see the simplicity. But when you don't understand it and you don't get it, you're just going to make a mishmash of it until you get to that point where, now I can do it better.
Yeah, I love that. I love that reframe.
And do you know what, Matt? I see it all the time with coaches. When coaches come in, wow, do they They just make a pig's ear of it. They want to overservice a client. They want to overcomplicate it. I think everyone's lost in a relationship. It's only as they get years down the line and they understand how to better articulate their message and everything that they're able to simplify their process. And I'm sure you've seen it in tech. I mean, I've seen it in so many different marketeers do exactly the same thing. When you look at the best marketeers, they're always the most simplest. I mean, Alex Hormozy, you're not going to get more simple than that.
Nope. Or even just their Apple rebrand back in the day, they think different, right? That 2 words and their logo on a white screen. That's simplicity right there, isn't it? Whether you like Apple or not, that was a great ad.
But what we didn't see was the complexity of getting to the simplicity.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I went to an event where Wozniak was speaking, and he talked about all the stuff that they went through to get through that process, and I just I can't imagine how they got there. Like all the work, it's so much work, and if we knew if we knew a fraction of what we would have to do to get to a certain place, a lot of times we would just not start.
And I'm glad you brought up Apple, because if we look at Steve Jobs' first tenure
Mm-hmm.
within Apple, he screwed it up big time. It was overcomplicated, it was just a mess. You look at here, we went and then built Pixar, Next Computing. By the time he came back, he had already built 2 other billion-dollar enterprises. When he came back into Apple for the next tenure, his ability to see things so clearly and simple was unreal. And he was able to get the other people to see it through that lens. And that was his genius. Was that, yeah, he just managed to get everybody on that page. And they were so super focused. Everyone said, oh, Steve Jobs, he's a narcissist. He wasn't. If you look at the team that he worked with, that team loved him because they were his people on his wavelength. And they went on to do some amazing things. And so has Tim Cook, to be honest with you. Totally different leadership to Steve Jobs, a different team to what Steve had.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I don't know a whole lot about that. I know his first tenure was horrible, but the second one was a lot better. But I know he has had very high standards, and some people don't like high standards.
No, but it's no different to Elon. You look at Elon,
Right.
again, he's another one. I mean, that man doesn't even sleep half the time. So if you cannot handle that kind of leadership, then either SpaceX, Tesla, it's not the environment for you. But there are plenty of people that have absolutely thrived under his leadership. You know the saying, different strokes from different folks.
Mm-hmm.
You've just got to find the company that's right for you, where you can thrive.
Yeah. Well, like McDonald's, how we started out, it's consistent. It's
Yes,
not the best, it's not the worst, but it's always consistent. So if that's what you go churn out burgers, that's a good place to do it. And also an interesting thing too, I'm in the Nashville area, and In-N-Out moved their headquarters here,
Okay.
and they opened a restaurant, several restaurants in Tennessee, and the line was out the door for a while. And then Chick-fil-A, do you have those in the UK?
Coming in, yeah, it's just coming into the UK now.
Okay, very cool. Their lines are always wrapped around the building during lunchtime. So, and McDonald's focused on get it quick, get it fast, get it fresh. So there's lots of different strategies in the same space. So McDonald's focuses on the how, and Chick-fil-A focuses on who's doing it and why. And like they're churning out just as much food, but it's well, it's my pleasure, right? And let me clean that up for you. It's a different perspective. What's your take on that in businesses? How do we find in our own business what strategy would work best?
Do you know what's interesting? So you look at something like Chick-fil-A, and what I find fascinating about them, they make absolutely no bones of the fact that they're a Christian faith organization, and they stay true to their values. And I think they attract people that absolutely love that kind of faith-based leadership. I think you've got to know what you stand for and who you stand for. And once you become clear on that, you can attract the right people as customers, as employees into your
Mm,
organization.
yeah, that's a really good illustration of values. I like that.
I mean, I don't know if it's the same now still in the States, but there was, I mean, for a very long period, Chick-fil-A would not be opening on a Sunday.
They still aren't.
You see?
So if you're on a road trip and it's Sunday, gotta keep driving.
Or you go to McDonald's or In-N-Out.
Or, yep, you go to McDonald's or whatever your. They have Buc-ee's out here. I don't know if you've seen all
Yes,
the.
I've been
Yeah,
there.
that's wild. That's a whole nother thing. So when you go into an organization for the very first time, what are you looking for, and how do you assess what you're trying to, how you can help them, and try to see what the levers are that you can pull to help them get to the place where they want to be quicker?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, look, what I normally do is do a 1 or 2 days deep dive with the CEO and the exec team. And we'll look at the whole business in its entirety, look at where the opportunities are, look at where the challenges are, and then come up with an action plan. Okay, where do we need to start? So really it does start with a business diagnostic. And that can take many forms.
Hmm.
And where we tend to sort of focus it, and I'm sure that if you're familiar with the concepts, especially with EOS, and we focus on the 4 areas: people, strategy, execution, cash. And we look at where they're strong in those areas and where they're weak. Now, where they're strong, you obviously want to hone in and make sure that we take advantage of those. But where they're weak, obviously we need to fix it.
Yeah. Everyone at this when you get to a certain level, it's always the same, right? You go in, you assess, you see where they want to go, and you try to build a plan to get there. That's what I do too with the tech initiatives in their businesses.
And look, for the smaller businesses, and like when we first started by saying you don't own your business owns you.
Hmm.
With a smaller business, most people, when they start a business, they've got no concept of what they want out of their life. They've got no concept of what they want in the future. They just want an income stream to pay the bills. That's how most businesses start. Whereas what I'll do with them is we'll do an alignment session where we work out, okay, what is it you want what do you want from your life? Because if you've got your own business, the whole purpose of having your own business surely has got to be the fact that your business is there to serve you, not you to serve your business. Unless you know what you want, you're never going to be able to structure a business and give you the life you want. And I think that's the big thing, that people start their business, and then by the time they get to year 5, they're either exasperated by the whole journey, exhausted by the whole journey, and they dare not to dream, which is probably the saddest thing. Because if you actually dare to dream, who knows what is possible?
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Elon, look, launching a rocket from a platform in the ocean and then landing it on a platform in the ocean. That's science fiction
Yeah,
from a while ago, right?
right. But for him, it wasn't science fiction, it was vision.
Yeah. Yeah. How do
And
you
you look
help leaders? Go
at,
ahead.
sorry. Now, the only thing I was going to say is you look at Solar City, you look at SpaceX, you look at Tesla. I mean,
Hmm.
they're all joined with a single focus of putting people on Mars. Those businesses are there to create the platform down the line for us to be able to colonize Mars. How crazy is that?
That's pretty wild. You talked about vision. How do you help leaders be visionaries? Is that one of your aspects that you try to help them with, or?
And I love the work that Jim Collins does in Good to Great. So one of the things that we look at is what the core purpose of the organization is. So a couple of areas we look at. I love looking at the core purpose, the reason the organization exists, and that becomes more important as the business scales when it moves beyond the founder. And the second one is going to be the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal. What are we trying to achieve 25 years out? And a lot of people do not think 20 years to 25 years out, but that's so crucial. Because if you think of any term smaller than that, then you're still building a team where the founder and the immediate team are going to execute the short-term vision. So when you start looking at the 25 years, like what Elon's done with colonizing Mars, he's now got to start thinking about a totally different team he needs to bring on board to achieve the 25-year BHAG. Very different.
Yeah, that is a pretty audacious goal. Although it's becoming less audacious as you see the crazy stuff they're able to accomplish.
Because we're becoming normalized. Each year that goes by, Elon is normalizing it for us as he's making the advancements. And he's building a team that are capable of delivering that.
Yeah. Now, talk about being the dumbest person in the room. He's very intelligent, and he's surrounded with people that are even more intelligent, and that's got to be a good feeling to see what they are able to accomplish, to be in that room. Let's talk a bit about your book. Tell me about what the catalyst was for you to write this book.
So have you ever read Jim Collins' book, Good to Great?
Yes.
So that was literally, when you look at Good to Great, that was a 20-year research project.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always fascinated by Jim's work on the 20 years. And this year is my 21st year as a business coach.
Nice.
And actually, Your Business Sucks is a 20-year research project into the businesses I've coached, the industries I've coached in, and the continents I've coached on. So I was looking at the common patterns and everything, why things happen the way they do. And more importantly, what can founders do to shortcut that process and not repeat the stupid stuff everyone keeps doing. And that was it. I needed to serve more people. And you're never going to do that coaching either groups of people, small groups, or one-to-one, because that's a limited impact. So this was my sort of way of reaching a wider audience. Well, that's the plan anyway.
Yeah. Excellent. What would be who should buy that book? Who should read that?
Well, originally I was saying all founders.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone that's a founder in a business, it's a really good resource for them. But now I've had people email me and say, I really loved your book. I've now given it to my management team or my leadership team. So it's having an unintended audience. Yeah, it surprised me actually. I thought it was only going to be for the founder, but maybe it has a wider purpose. Because actually, although they're not founders, they're able to relate to the stories of the founders in the book. And I suppose because they're working for a founder, they're getting to understand the founder's pain and actually how they may be contributing to the pain and what they need to do a little bit differently to be more the solution than the problem.
Yeah, that's pretty good insight. Are there any moments that stuck out to you when you were writing the book, like any aha moments or any good interactions with people that made it to the book that you want to mention?
So my foreword is done by a former client. All my endorsements in the book are my clients. I didn't want to get a big name speaker to do anything for my book because it was a book for the people, by the people. But it was the endorsements more than anything else, Matt, that really stood out to me. When people started to talk about what the journey meant to them and
Oh,
actually
interesting.
how it changed their lives and actually the people that they become as a result of going on a journey, that to me was an aha moment. You don't necessarily, yeah, you help people on the journey, but I suppose it's a bit like a teacher that down the line they see their students 20 years later and they see what the students become.
Hmm.
It's really fascinating when you see what people have become, what they've achieved, especially against their potential and where they were when you first met them. So that was my aha moment, seeing the stories come in.
That is a great. That's a great story. It's not like one particular thing, but it's an overall observation that probably makes you feel pretty good about that.
Well, it does, and we're continuously seeking out the people that I've worked with in the past. And for me, it's just getting their stories
Hmm.
because it's their stories that founders will, number one, relate to, but number two, also get hope from.
Yeah.
And I didn't want it just to be another business book because we have so many of them out there. How could we make something that was a little bit different? Because that's for me
Yeah.
is everything. Yeah, I mean, you look at the world today, the world is absolutely crazy. We've got major wars going on. We've got high cost of living. It's quite a difficult period to be sort of in business right now.
Hmm.
And what do people need more than anything else? They need faith and they need hope.
Yep.
And if the book can give them those two things, then at least they'll power through until the good times come back for them.
Yeah, I like that. One thing we haven't touched on is AI. How are you using AI to help your clients, or how are your clients using AI to help get out of their own way?
They're learning how to use it. I
Hmm.
still think that AI is in its infancy. And I'm not sure how old you are, Matt, but I'm now in my 50s.
I'm right
However,
there with you.
you and I will remember then that when
Yep.
we were at school and we were first using computers for the first time, a saying we was always given, garbage in, garbage out. No one's telling people with AI, garbage in, garbage out. And if there's one thing I'm teaching my clients is do not be lazy with AI.
Mm,
That if you're going to use it, it probably will take you as much time or a little bit longer to get the result you want because you've got to frame it with context. If
right.
you frame it with the context and everything, it'll be able to help you. If you just give it a one sentence and hope that it will give you the manifesto of your dreams, you are going to be massively disappointed when it screws up your business. And you know where I'm seeing this play out? I'm seeing this play out with lazy marketing. Write me a post on this. Do me a that. I mean, it's all AI garbage.
Hmm.
It's really, really sad to see. And people think that it's leverage. Nope, you're just screwing up your business for the long term. You're just going to need 18 months to see that you've been slowly destroying your business over that period. I think AI has got a strong future, providing we are responsible how we use it.
Yeah, I like that attitude towards AI. I think it's a great tool. Some things are much faster, like developing software is much faster than it used to be. But like you said, anything where you're trying to get good value from it does take a lot of time because it does take a lot of prompts.
Yeah,
Is there
and
any?
I'll give you one example as well. A lot of people now are using AI to print websites, and they're poor quality websites. Guess what Google's doing? Well, this is rubbish. De-index,
Mm,
de-index. So all you've got is a little picture frame that no one can see. Unless you point someone to your website, no one's not going to know it exists.
that's an excellent point. Was there anything else that you'd like to cover that we missed?
Have we missed something? I mean, look,
I,
we could be here for
we could
hours.
be here for days.
Exactly. I think what's more important, do you and I believe that our listeners on today's episode have got enough great value that they can go and do something with it?
I hope so. I got a lot of value out of it. Uh, so yeah, I loved our conversation. Even before we started recording, it was great chatting with you. If people want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to find you?
Okay, so a couple of things. Let's start first with the book. The book is on Amazon. Nearly everyone has an Amazon account. So for a limited period only, I've got the book, because it's only just been released, on Amazon on the Kindle version for 99 cents. I know, it's crazy, right? So you can get it for 99 cents and you get all our ecosystem with it. It's not going to be forever, but it is for now. So if you're interested in the stuff we talked about today, get the book. It'll be the best 99 cents you will spend this week. Better than going to Chick-fil-A and In-N-Out. Then secondly, look, if you just want to connect with me, just type my name into Google. I'm probably one of the easiest people you're going to find. And we've all got different preferences. Some may want to connect on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, my podcast, my website, WhatsApp. Look, I'll leave it up to you. You choose your preferred method to follow me and interact with me. Just type my name into Google and then do the rest.
Hey, I love that. Thank you so much, Peter. Well, that was another episode of the Operating System Show, and that was my guest, Peter Boolkah, and he just wrote a book, Your Business Sucks. Go get it. You can get it for 99 cents on Amazon right now for the Kindle edition. And thanks again, and we'll catch you again next time.
Thank you so much for having me.